Drop your thoughts in the comments and tell me what city you're watching from. I love seeing our community grow. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories about women who choose courage over comfort and love over logic. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a new story. See you in the next one. Welcome to our channel. If you love stories about women who find strength in unexpected places and love that changes everything, hit that subscribe button right now. Stay with me until the very end of this story. It gets wild, and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I love seeing how far our stories travel. At 22 years old, Ava Chen had never done anything spontaneous. She was the girl who color-coded her class notes, who worked every weekend at the campus library, who'd had exactly 3 boyfriends, all of them safe, predictable, and ultimately boring. She studied hard, followed rules, and lived a life her parents would approve of, a life that was slowly suffocating her. Tonight was supposed to change that. Maya's boyfriend had gotten them into this penthouse party, some business connection of his father's, he'd said vaguely. The apartment was like something from a movie. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the glittering city, crystal chandeliers catching golden light on marble floors, women in designer gowns that cost more than Ava's car. $200, Ava said, her voice steadier than she felt. That's my grocery budget for a month, Maya. I'm doing this. You don't know who he is, Maya hissed. Just be careful, please. Ava downed her champagne and handed Maya her clutch before she could change her mind. Then she was moving through the crowd, her borrowed black dress swishing around her thighs, her heart hammering against her ribs like it wanted to break free. The closer she got, the more details she noticed. He was tall, well over 6 feet, with broad shoulders that strained against his perfectly tailored jacket. Dark hair swept back from a face of sharp angles and hard edges, olive skin, a shadow of stubble along his jaw that gave him a rough edge no amount of expensive clothing could hide. And the tattoos. Even in this formal setting, she could see ink peeking above his collar, disappearing beneath his shirt. More visible on his hands when he lifted his whiskey glass, intricate designs that didn't belong in a world of country clubs and corporate dinners. He saw her coming. Those dark, almost black eyes locked onto hers when she was still 10 feet away, and something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe, or curiosity. The 2 men he'd been talking to fell silent as she stepped into their circle, and Ava suddenly felt like Red Riding Hood walking straight into the wolf's den. Up close, he was devastating. Not handsome in the conventional way. His face was too hard, too dangerous for that, but magnetic. Powerful. The kind of man who could break you in half without breaking a sweat. "Hi," she managed, proud when her voice came out steady. "I'm Ava." He studied her for a long moment, his gaze traveling from her face down the length of her body and back up. Not leering, assessing, like he could see every secret she'd ever kept. "Dante," he said finally, his voice a low rumble with a hint of Italian accent that sent shivers down her spine. "And you are either very brave or very foolish, approaching me like this." "Maybe both," Ava said, and was rewarded with the faintest curve of his lips. "Excuse us," Dante said to the 2 men without looking at them. It wasn't a request. They disappeared immediately, and suddenly Ava was alone with this stranger who radiated danger like heat. "So, Ava," Dante said, his attention entirely focused on her in a way that made her skin flush. "What brings a girl like you to a party like this? A girl like you." He'd clocked her immediately as an outsider, someone who didn't belong in this world of wealth and power. She should have been insulted. Instead, she found it oddly reassuring. "My friend got me on the guest list," she admitted. "And curiosity, I guess. Wanted to see how the other half lives. And—" he took a sip of his whiskey, those dark eyes never leaving her face. "Are you impressed? Intimidated is more accurate. Everyone here looks like they were born knowing which fork to use and how to make small talk about stock portfolios." That almost smile appeared again. "And you?" "I'm a college student who works at the library and eats ramen 3 times a week." She tilted her head, studying him. "You're not what I expected either." "No, something about you." She paused, champagne loosening her tongue beyond wisdom. You look like you'd be more comfortable in a fight than a ballroom. His eyes widened fractionally before something darker, more interested, replaced the surprise. Perceptive, he said softly. Most people here are too afraid to acknowledge what they see when they look at me. Should I be afraid? The question came out breathier than she intended. He stepped closer, closing the distance between them to something decidedly intimate. Probably, he admitted. But you're not, are you? You're nervous, yes, but not afraid. Why? Because I'm an idiot, Ava thought. Because standing this close to you makes me feel more alive than I've felt in 22 years. Because danger has never looked so appealing. I think, she said slowly, her pulse thundering, that you're exactly the kind of dangerous I need right now. His eyes darkened, and she knew he'd understood. Knew he was weighing whatever he saw in her face against some internal calculation she couldn't begin to guess at. Careful, Ava, he murmured. You don't know what you're asking for. Then show me. The words hung between them, charged with promise and possibility. Dante's hand came up to cup her jaw, his thumb brushing across her cheekbone with surprising gentleness. One chance to walk away, he said quietly. I'm not a good man, beautiful. I'm not safe or simple. And if you let me kiss you right now, I'm not letting you go afterward. So choose carefully. Ava's heart was racing so fast she felt dizzy. Every rational thought screamed at her to step back, to thank him politely, and return to Maya, and forget this dangerous stranger existed. But the champagne and the dare and something deeper, something that recognized him on a primal level, pushed her forward instead. I don't want safe, she whispered. I don't want simple. What do you want? You. Dante's eyes flashed with something fierce and possessive. Then his mouth was on hers, and Ava forgot how to breathe. The kiss started gentle, surprisingly so for a man who radiated violence, his lips coaxing hers open with skilled precision. But when she gasped against his mouth, something broke loose in him, his hand fisted in her hair, angling her head back as he deepened the kiss, claiming her mouth with a hunger that should have terrified her. Instead, Ava melted into him. Her hands gripped his jacket lapels as she kissed him back with equal desperation, tasting whiskey and danger and dark promises. The ballroom around them faded away. There was only Dante's mouth on hers, his hand tangled in her hair, his other arm wrapped around her waist, pulling her closer until their bodies pressed together. When he finally pulled back, they were both breathing hard. His dark eyes blazed with intensity as he stared down at her, his thumb tracing her swollen lips. Mine, he said simply. Not a question. A statement of fact. Ava should have protested, should have laughed it off as the champagne talking. Instead, she heard herself say, yours. Something shifted in his expression, satisfaction mixed with possessiveness, and something almost tender. Come home with me, he said. Not quite a command, but close. I don't even know you. You know enough. His hand slid from her hair to cradle the back of her neck. You know I'm dangerous. You know I want you. You know you feel this too. Whatever this is between us, he was right. She did know. Against all logic and common sense, Ava knew that walking away from Dante Caruso would haunt her for the rest of her safe, boring life. Okay, she whispered. Dante's smile was pure satisfaction. He took her hand and led her through the crowd, and Ava caught a glimpse of Maya's shocked face as they passed. She'd deal with that tomorrow. Right now, all that mattered was the warm, calloused hand wrapped around hers, and the promise of whatever came next. The ride to his penthouse was a blur of heated looks and barely restrained desire. Dante kept one hand on her thigh as his driver navigated the city streets, his thumb drawing circles on her skin that made her shiver. When they finally arrived, he pulled her into the elevator and backed her against the wall, his mouth finding hers again in a kiss that made her knees weak. Last chance, he murmured against her lips. Once we're inside, I'm not letting you go. Good, Ava breathed. Don't. What followed was the most incredible night of her life. Dante was demanding yet attentive, rough yet surprisingly tender. He learned her body like a language he was determined to master. coaxing pleasure from her until she was shaking and begging. And when she finally fell asleep in his arms, utterly exhausted and satisfied, Ava felt something shift deep in her chest. This wasn't just physical attraction. This was something else. Something that terrified and thrilled her in equal measure. She woke to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and Dante's arm heavy across her waist. For a moment, she lay still, processing everything that had happened. She'd had a one-night stand with a stranger, a dangerous stranger who'd told her he wasn't a good man, a stranger who'd kissed her like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning, a stranger who, in one night, had made her feel more alive than 22 years of playing it safe ever had. Dante stirred beside her, and when she turned to look at him, she found his dark eyes already open, watching her with an intensity that should have been unsettling. "Good morning, beautiful," he murmured, his morning voice even deeper and rougher than usual. "Good morning," Ava said softly. "So, that happened." His lips curved into a smile, a real one this time, not the dangerous half-smile from the party. "It did. And before you panic and try to run, I should tell you something." "What?" "I meant what I said last night. You're mine now, Ava. And I take care of what's mine." Her heart skipped a beat. "Dante, I barely know you. We can't just, can't we?" He rolled onto his side to face her fully, his hand coming up to cup her cheek. "I've lived 30 years on this earth, Ava. I've seen things, done things that would give you nightmares. I stopped believing in love at first sight, or fate, or any of that romantic bullshit a long time ago. But then you walked up to me at that party with fire in your eyes and courage in every step, and something clicked into place. Something I didn't even know was missing." "That's crazy," Ava whispered. "Maybe. But I learned a long time ago to trust my instincts. And my instincts are telling me that you're important, that this us is important. So I'm not letting you walk away." "What if I want to walk away? Do you?" Ava stared into his dark eyes and knew she couldn't lie. Not to him, not to herself. "No," she admitted. "I don't." "Then stay. Move in with me. Let me show you that this is real." "That's insane. People don't move in together after one night. Normal people don't." Dante's thumb brushed across her bottom lip. "But I'm not normal, Ava. And something tells me you're tired of normal too." He was right. God help her. He was right. Normal was safe. Normal was predictable. Normal was slowly suffocating her with its expectations and limitations. "What exactly do you do, Dante?" she asked, instead of answering his implicit question. "For work, I mean. You said last night you're not a good man. What did you mean?" His expression grew serious. "I run an organization that operates outside the law. Import, export, protection. Things that would make your library job look like child's play. I'm connected to powerful people, dangerous people, the kind of life where enemies are real and threats are constant." "You're telling me you're a criminal." "I'm telling you I operate in shades of gray. I protect my people. Ava, I make sure my family eats, that my organization thrives, that the neighborhoods we control are safe from worse predators than me. But I won't lie to you, I've done things that would horrify you. I've hurt people who threatened what's mine." Ava should have been terrified, should have grabbed her clothes and run. Instead, she found herself asking, "And if I say yes to this? To you? What would that mean?" "It means you'd be under my protection. No one would dare touch you. It means I'd give you anything you want. The penthouse, money, jewelry, whatever makes you happy. It means I'd come home to you every night and wake up beside you every morning." His voice dropped lower, more intense. "It means you'd be mine, Ava. Completely. And I don't share." "That sounds like a cage. Does it?" He traced the line of her jaw. "Or does it sound like freedom? Freedom to be yourself without worrying about money or safety. Freedom to finish your education without working yourself to exhaustion. Freedom to explore this thing between us without fear." He made it sound almost reasonable, almost like the answer to questions she hadn't known she was asking. "I need to think," Ava said finally. "I need to talk to Maya, pack my things, process all of this." "Fair enough." Dante pressed a kiss to her forehead. But while you're thinking, consider this. When was the last time you felt as alive as you did last night? When was the last time someone saw you? Really saw you? The way I do. Never, Ava realized. The answer was never. 3 hours later, she sat across from Maya at their favorite coffee shop, watching her best friend's face cycle through shock, horror, and reluctant understanding as she explained everything. He wants you to move in with him, Maya said flatly. After one night. I know how it sounds. Do you? Because it sounds like you've lost your mind over a hot criminal who could get you killed, Ava. He's not going to hurt me. I know that sounds naive, but I feel it. Here. She pressed her hand to her chest. Something about him. It's like he sees parts of me I didn't even know existed. Parts I've been hiding my whole life. Because I was too afraid to be anything other than what everyone expected. Maya was quiet for a long moment, studying her with concerned eyes. You're really going to do this, aren't you? You're going to move in with a man you met 12 hours ago. I think I am. Ava took a shaky breath. For the first time in my life, I'm doing something just because I want to. Not because it makes sense, or because it's safe, or because my parents would approve. Because I want him, Maya. Because being with him makes me feel like I can finally breathe. Then I can't stop you. Maya reached across the table to squeeze her hand. But I'm making you promise me something. You check in every day. You tell me if anything feels wrong, if he hurts you, if you want out. And you remember that you always have a place with me if you need to leave. Tears pricked Ava's eyes. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. If he breaks your heart, I'm learning how to throw a punch. Ava laughed despite herself. Deal. By evening, she was back at Dante's penthouse with 2 suitcases of her belongings and a heart full of terrified hope. He'd set her up in the guest room like he'd promised, a beautiful space with its own bathroom and a view of the city that took her breath away. But as she unpacked, she couldn't help noticing how his presence seemed to fill the entire apartment. His clothes in the closet, his cologne in the bathroom, his books on the shelves, surprisingly intellectual titles mixed with Italian novels. Second thoughts? Dante's voice came from the doorway. Ava turned to find him leaning against the frame, dressed casually in jeans and a black t-shirt that showcased his tattooed arms. He looked dangerous and domestic all at once. More like 4th or 5th thoughts, she admitted. This is really happening. I'm really here. You are. He crossed the room to stand in front of her. And I meant what I said. Your own space. Your own time. I'm not trying to control you, Ava. I just want you close. Why? The question burst out before she could stop it. Why me? You could have anyone. Beautiful, sophisticated women who actually belong in your world. Why choose the broke college student who doesn't even know which fork to use at fancy dinners? Dante's hand came up to cup her cheek, his thumb brushing away a tear she hadn't realized had fallen. Because those women bore me. They want my money, my power, my connections. They see what I can give them, not who I am. But you, Ava, you looked at me and saw the danger, and you didn't flinch. You saw the darkness, and you didn't run. You see me, the real me, and that's worth more than all the sophistication in the world. I'm scared, she whispered. Good. Fear means you're alive. It means you're taking a risk. And sometimes the biggest risks bring the biggest rewards. He kissed her then, slow and deep and achingly tender. And as Ava kissed him back, she felt the last of her resistance crumble. She was all in. For better or worse, she was choosing this dangerous man and whatever future they might build together. One day at a time, she said against his lips. One day at a time, Dante agreed. Starting with tonight. Let me make you dinner. Let me show you that I can be more than danger and darkness. Let me prove that I'm worth the risk you're taking. And as they moved to the kitchen together, Ava felt something settle in her chest. Peace. Certainty. The bone-deep knowledge that whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever dangers came from choosing Dante Caruso, she'd finally found where she belonged. The next few weeks passed in a blur of discovery and adjustment. Ava continued her classes and library shifts, but everything felt different now. She'd wake in her own room, though most mornings she found herself gravitating to Dante's bed, sometime during the night, to the smell of coffee already brewing. He'd leave notes on the counter before his early morning meetings. Thinking of you. Or, come home safe. Beautiful. True to his word, Dante had assigned her a bodyguard. Marcus was a mountain of a man with kind eyes and the patience of a saint. He drove her to campus, waited during her classes, and made sure she got home safely. At first, Ava had protested the constant presence, but after Dante explained that his enemies might use her to get to him, she'd reluctantly agreed. Her safety meant his peace of mind, and she was beginning to understand just how important she'd become to him. Her parents called one Sunday afternoon. Ava stood on Dante's balcony. The city spread out below her like a glittering promise, and lied through her teeth about her living situation. She told them she'd gotten an amazing opportunity to house-sit for a wealthy alumna. She told them school was great. Her job was fine. Everything was perfectly normal. She didn't tell them about the dangerous man who'd turned her world upside down, or how happy she was in this new life that would horrify them. "I'm proud of you, sweetheart," her father said. "Always knew you'd make the smart choices. Stay focused on your studies. That's what matters." After she hung up, Ava found Dante watching her from the doorway, his expression unreadable. "You didn't tell them about me," he said. "Not an accusation, just an observation." "They wouldn't understand," Ava replied softly. "They've spent my whole life teaching me to play it safe, to choose the sensible path." "You're not sensible, Dante." He crossed the balcony to stand behind her, his arms wrapping around her waist as he pulled her back against his chest. "Does it bother you that you have to lie about us?" Ava leaned into his warmth, feeling his heartbeat steady against her spine. "Sometimes. But then I remember how I felt before you, like I was sleepwalking through my own life. And I know that no matter what they'd think, no matter what anyone thinks, this is where I'm supposed to be. Ava." His voice was rough with emotion. "You keep surprising me. Keep proving that trusting you was the smartest decision I've ever made." She turned in his arms to face him, her hands sliding up his chest to link behind his neck. "I love you," she said simply. The words had been building inside her for days, pressing against her ribs, demanding release. "I know it's too soon and too fast, and probably too crazy, but I love you, Dante Caruso. I love your darkness and your danger, and the way you make me feel brave enough to be myself." His eyes darkened with emotion so intense it stole her breath. "Say it again. I love you. Again. I love you. I love you. I love you." He kissed her silent, pouring everything he couldn't say into the press of his lips against hers. When he finally pulled back, he rested his forehead against hers, his breathing ragged. "I didn't think I could feel this again," he whispered. "After Elena died, I swore I'd never let anyone get close, never risk losing someone I cared about. But you, Ava, you slipped past every defense I had, made me want things I thought I'd given up on." "Who was Elena?" Ava asked gently. "My wife. 7 years ago." Pain flickered across his face. "She was killed because of what I do, because I wasn't careful enough, didn't protect her well enough. I've carried that guilt every day since." "Oh, Dante." Ava cupped his face in her hands. "I'm so sorry. I tell you this because you need to understand the risk. Being with me, loving me, it comes with danger, real danger. And I need to know you understand what you're choosing." "I understand," Ava said firmly. "And I choose you anyway. I choose us." His smile was brilliant and heartbreaking all at once. "Then I love you too. Beautiful. God help us both. I love you too." They stood there on the balcony as the sun set over the city, wrapped in each other's arms, and Ava felt the last piece of herself click into place. This was real. This love that had bloomed in the space of weeks, that defied logic and common sense. It was the most real thing she'd ever experienced. Not in the safe, predictable life she'd been living, but here, in the arms of a dangerous man who saw her, truly saw her, for exactly who she was meant to be. This was just the beginning of their story, and Ava couldn't wait to see where it would lead. Thanks so much for watching. Did this story hit different? Are you Team Ava or Team Girl Run? Drop your thoughts in the comments and tell me what city you're watching from. I love seeing our community grow. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories about women who choose courage over comfort and love over logic. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a new story. See you in the next one.